Hello fellas. Welcome back to Top 5 Choices. This is Haley from Top 5 Choices, and I hope you all are doing good. In today's video, I am going to do a detailed review and pick the top 5 best convertible laptops, 2022. After doing proper researches, we came to the conclusion that meets the best in terms of overall. Kindly leave a like if you find this helpful, and I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications if you haven't. We will be also providing affiliates link to purchase from Amazon. Kindly use it for best offers and purchase from anywhere in the world. We'll be back with more videos. The Lenovo Flex 5 is an attempt to bring the goodness of the Yoga series, which is basically a 2-in-1 form factor, to a more affordable segment. Let's start off with the color here. The Lenovo IdeaPad Flex 5 comes in the Sol Graphite Gray color option. This color looks classy and looks premium in the first look itself. It has a soft touch finish with metallic coating on the front with small metal Lenovo branding placed towards the right, while the rest of the area remains plain. Opening up the laptop, you will be greeted with a 14-inch screen, keyboard and trackpad combo along with 2 front-firing speakers. Right below the keyboard, you will find the fingerprint scanner. The machine comes with 360-degree rotatable hinge, which is built fairly well and sturdy material. The laptop weighs 1.5 kgs and has a thickness of 17.9 mm. This combo is considered as a thin and light laptop. The high mechanism is quite smooth and I did not have any issues. Lenovo claims that the hinge can survive up to 25,000 opening and closing actions over a course of 4 years, which is 17 times a day on average. On the left of the laptop, there is a barrel charging port, HDMI 1.4b port, USB-C port with power delivery certification, and microphone combo jack. To the right side, you get 2 USB 3.1, Gen 1, ports, an SD card reader, and a power button. The power button acts as the regular power button on your smartphones. It works both in laptop and tablet mode. To the bottom, you get the air vent out and rubberized pads, which provide grip. On the inside, the Lenovo IdeaPad Flex 5 is powered by AMD Ryzen 5 4500U processor, which makes the Flex 5 one of the cheapest laptops in India with Ryzen 5 4000 series chipset. The Asus VivoBook Flip 14 is mediocre for school use. It's a thin and light laptop that's easy to carry around, with a battery that lasts easily through a typical school day. Unfortunately, the build quality feels cheap, the touchpad doesn't track well, and the keyboard typing experience is only passable because the keys are unstable. Also, the screen doesn't get very bright, so it isn't the best option for use in well-lit settings or outdoors. Its Intel Pentium CPU can handle simple tasks like text formatting and web browsing, but it isn't ideal for heavier workloads like graphic design or 3D animation. The Asus VivoBook Flip 14 is a basic-looking laptop. It's entirely plastic, but with a gray/silver finish that makes it look like aluminum. There aren't any exhaust vents, because it's a fanless device, which means you won't have to worry about dust getting into the device over time. The side and top bezels are relatively thin, but the bottom chin is much thicker, with a large Asus branding in the middle. On the bright side, the borders are under the glass, making them slightly less distracting. The Asus VivoBook Flip 14's hinge is passable. It feels smooth when opening and closing the laptop, and it's decently stable. However, there's a little bit of play, and the screen wobbles when typing aggressively or using the device on a lap. As this is a 2-in-1 convertible, you can flip the screen all the way around for use as a tablet. Unfortunately, you can't open the laptop with one finger because there isn't enough weight in the base to keep it steady. The Asus VivoBook Flip 14's build quality is mediocre. It's entirely plastic and feels cheap, particularly the keycaps. There isn't much flex in the display or keyboard deck, though, and the finish doesn't scratch easily. The Surface Pro 8, luckily, brings some much-needed design improvements to the table. The easiest one to notice is the new graphite color, which simply looks incredible. While it seems like Microsoft has been focusing on lighter shades for its devices in recent years, the darker colors with this year's lineup look incredible. The chassis is also refined, with more rounded edges, that seem much more comfortable to hold for long periods of time, rather than the flat sides with sharper corners. Bezels are also smaller than ever, and this is that final thing that makes the Surface Pro 8 look like an all-new device, rather than a relic from the early 2010s. It makes the screen look so much bigger, and makes the device look more premium than ever, which is good, because it's also more expensive than ever. The smaller bezels do more than just look good, though. They allow for an 11% larger display. The Surface Pro 8 now has a 13-inch PixelSense display with a resolution of 2880 by 1920. That's right in the middle of 1440p and 4K, but for a 13-inch display, it's absolutely gorgeous. What makes this display even better is that along with the bigger size, it also has a 120Hz refresh rate. This is definitely not a gaming device, but take it from us, once you use a high refresh display, even for everyday computing, you're not going to want to go back. With a device that's meant to be as portable as the Surface Pro 8, performance is always a difficult balance to strike. You want it to be fast, but you don't want to push it so hard that battery life goes down the toilet and it becomes too hot to handle. Microsoft has apparently put a lot of effort into re-engineering the internals of the Surface Pro 8, and it allowed the company to configure the processor with a higher TDP than past versions of the tablet, boosting it to 23W instead of the 15W of the Surface Pro 7's processor. The Lenovo Yoga 9i is a very sleek and lustrous 2-in-1, but Lenovo offers an even more attractive model than our silver review unit. The Shadow Black edition offers a dark metal chassis, hence the name, with the option of adding a leather case. However, the Yoga 9i that we reviewed features a mica aluminum chassis, and the differences between it and the Shadow Black model are not insignificant. The Shadow Black's glass palm rest covers the entire keyboard deck and packs an embedded fingerprint sensor and a haptic touchpad. Going back to the model we tested, its lid bears a chrome Yoga logo, which shines in the light to show off brand. Just as I was about to open the laptop, I was met with another logo etched ever so slightly on the edge of the lid, reading Yoga 9 Series, a neat little touch. The interior of the laptop keeps with the same sleek design as the outside, with some noticeable differences of course. The bezels to the sides of the glass touchscreen are both very thin, while the bezel on top expands in the middle to give more room for the webcam, and the bottom bezel sits as the largest. Below the screen, on the hinge, is the soundbar, which rotates with the screen. The keyboard itself is a decent size, with thin keys, and located below is the touchpad. The Yoga 9i is pretty thin, at just 12.6 by 8.5 by 0.6 inches, and weighing 3 pounds. It is thinner than the 13.5-inch HP Spectre X36014, 11.8 by 8.7 by 0.7 inches, 3 pounds, and about as thin as the 13.4-inch Dell XPS 13 2-in-1, 11.7 by 8.2 by 0.6 inches, 2.9 pounds, and the 13.3-inch MacBook Air with M1, 12 by 8.4 by 0.6 inches, 2.8 pounds. The Asus ROG Flow Z13 is a tribute to Asus manufacturing and design. It's a wonderful thing to behold and an impressive chunk of hardware. It isn't for everyone though. To be honest, there's a good chance it isn't for anyone, especially given the high price, but there's something very appealing about what Asus is trying to do here. If nothing else, it should be applauded for thinking outside the gaming laptop box and giving us a genuine PC gaming tablet. Windows tablets have been with us for a long time of course, but they've traditionally struggled when it comes to gaming. This is because there isn't a lot of space inside their svelte dimensions to house cutting-edge hardware, particularly on the GPU front. They simply don't have the space for the necessary cooling to make a GPU worthwhile. The basic takeaway is that the RTX 3050 Ti and Flow Z13 is just about capable of gaming on the go. It's not a powerhouse, and you are going to have to knock down settings and reach for DLSS or FSR wherever possible, but you can game on it. And that's nothing to be sniffed at. This impressive duo of core components is backed up by 16GB of LPDDR5-5200 RAM and a speedy 1TB NVMe SSD. Asus has slid these components into a chassis that is dominated by the lush IPS level 1610 screen. There are a few options here, topping out at a 4K display, although the sensible money is on the 1920 by 1200 resolution found in this review model. That's not too big an ask for the RTX 3050 Ti, yet still looks great for work and games. A 720p webcam squeezed into the top edge above the screen as well, along with a couple of microphone spots on either side of it, which means you're set for video conferences and streaming. The Flow Z13 isn't awash with ports, although you do get a Type-A on the right-hand side and a Thunderbolt Type-C port on the left. Then there's a volume rocker on the right along with the power button. The left-hand side is also home to Asus proprietary ROG XG mobile interface that lets you hook up the same XG mobile dock that it released with the Flow X13. Apart from offering 4 USB ports, HDMI and DisplayPort video out, and an RJ45 for Ethernet connectivity, it's also home to a mobile RTX 3080, running at 150W, to seriously boost the graphical power of the machine.